Melody Gardot is a Grammy-nominated American singer, writer and musician in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, though she considers herself a citizen of the world. She has been influenced by such blues and jazz artists as Judy Garland, Janis Joplin, Miles Davis, Duke Ellington, Stan Getz and George Gershwin, as well as Latin music artists such as Caetano Veloso. Her music has been compared to that of Nina Simone. Gardot follows the teachings of Buddhism, is a macrobiotic cook and humanitarian who often speaks about the benefits of music therapy. She has visited various universities and hospitals to speak about its ability to help reconnect neural pathways in the brain, improve speech ability, and lift general spirits. In 2012, it was reported that she had given her name to a music therapy program in New Jersey. Early life and education: Gardot was born in New Jersey, and was largely brought up by her grandparents. Her grandmother was a Polish immigrant, and her mother, a photographer, worked and traveled frequently. They moved around often and as a consequence had very few possessions, often living out of suitcases. Because of Gardot's unregistered trademark career, she does not stay in one place for long and she finds herself living out of 3 suitcases, as she did when she was a child. Gardot studied fashion at the Community College of Philadelphia. Accident and therapy: while cycling in Philadelphia in November 2003, she was hit by a car whose driver had ignored a red traffic light. In the accident she suffered serious head and spinal injuries and her pelvis was broken in 2 places. Because of these severe injuries she was confined to her hospital bed for a year and had to remain lying on her back. As a further consequence of her injuries, she had to relearn simple tasks such as brushing her teeth and walking. The most noticeable effect of the neural injuries she suffered is that she was left hypersensitive to both light and sound, therefore requiring her to wear dark sunglasses at nearly all times to shield her eyes. The accident also resulted in both long and short-term memory problems and difficulty with her sense of time. Gardot has described coping with this as like climbing Mount Everest every day, as she often wakes with no memory of what she has to do that day. Initially prompted by an attending physician who believed music would help her brain injury drastically improve, Gardot began writing music after her accident and now often speaks and advocates in favor of using music for therapy. The accident had damaged the neural pathways between the brain's 2 cortices, which control perception and higher mental function, and made Gardot a bit of a vegetable. As well as making it very hard for her to speak or communicate properly, she found it difficult to recall the right words to express her feelings. Music involving listening and making a verbal attempt to sing or hum is thought to help the brain form new pathways. At first, Gardot learned to hum and was eventually able to sing into a tape recorder. She made good progress and was eventually able to write original songs that sometimes referred to her rehabilitation. Gardot's doctor at the University of Medicine of New Jersey, Richard German, compared her condition to a computer. The computer was still intact and the memory was there, but she could not access it. That's what a brain injury does, it takes your ability to access that German stated. For several years after the accident, Gardot traveled with a physiotherapist and carried a TENS machine strapped to her waist which released pain-reducing impulses. While on stage, Gardot explains, "The first maybe half a dozen times experiencing this, that was the only 30 minutes in my life that I did not feel pain for that moment. And it was addictive." And so from her accident to her first performances, her music career was born. It was a most unusual start, but when you come from a place where things are tough it makes it that much easier to appreciate the times when life is she said. After her accident, Gardot could not listen to the music she had listened to before, as she could not tolerate anything above a whisper. Because of this, she had to find quieter, more soothing music to listen to. She recalls that while on the treadmill learning to walk again, she would listen to Stan Getz's The Bossa Nova Years album. Because Gardot could not sit comfortably at a piano, she learned to play guitar on her back while in the hospital and shortly after began to write her own music. During her recovery, she wrote material that later became part of a 5-song EP, Some Lessons, The Bedroom Sessions that Gardot produced herself. Gardot was reluctant to record her songs at first, stating that they were too private for the public to hear. However, she soon relented and her songs were soon being played on a Philadelphia radio station. She was introduced to macrobiotics by a friend who lent her a book on its benefits. She began to experiment and cook for several hours a day. As well as reducing her pain levels, she believes that macrobiotics helped her mental ability to cope with pain, helping her relax as the routine of cooking helped take her mind off her physical condition, and she also found that she was able to sleep more easily. Music career. Gardot started music lessons at the age of 9 and began playing piano in Philadelphia bars at the age of 16 on Fridays and Saturdays for 4 hours a night. She insisted on only playing music she liked, ranging from standards from the Mamas and the Papas to Duke Ellington and modern groups such as Radiohead. During her time in hospital she learned how to play the guitar and began writing songs, which were made available as downloads in iTunes and released in some lessons, The Bedroom Sessions in 2005. She began to play these songs at venues in Philadelphia and was spotted by the radio station WXPN, operated by the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, which helped to launch Norah Jones. As well as playing her songs, WXPN encouraged her to assemble a demo, which was quickly picked up by Universal Records. Released in 2006 and then re-released by Verve Records in 2008, her first full-length album was entitled Worrisome Heart. After meeting her in New York City in 2008, producer Larry Klein began working with Gardot and they released her second album, My One and Only Thrill, on April 28, 2009. From this album, the song, Who Will Comfort Me, became a top 10 hit at Smooth Jazz Radio. Also in 2009, Gardot released a live EP, Live from Soho. Gardot is a recipient of the 2007 VSA International Young Soloists Award. Discography, albums, extended plays, singles, Worrisome Heart, Goodnight, Quiet Fire, Who Will Comfort Me, Baby I'm a Fool, Your Heart Is As Black as Night, Myra, Amelia, Love in Rose. Collaborations. Gardot appears on the following songs, on vocals and occasionally piano or guitar, by other artists: Bluer Than a Midnight Sky Beaucoup Blue Free to Fall, High Night Till Bra Paragraph NNER Rio, If I'm Lucky Charlie Hayden Quartet West Sophisticated Ladies, E. Marcy 2010, My Sweet Darling Seth Coulin and The Reaction Exhibit A Meditation on War and the Fight for Love Phil Roy The Great Longing, Deria Relark NCL Over the Rainbow Eddie Mitchell Grand Ecran, Under My Skin a 32nd Frank Sinatra cover used in the 2008 Chevy Malibu commercials, Sous les Ponts de Paris Juliette Gras Copyright Co ASA Traverse A Kissed Bow, Tanned P, Jesse Harris Sub Rosa, Mon Phantom Baptiste Trottignon Song, There Are Angels. Listen Not Marionette, Somewhere Else, Federico Obel, 5, Limoero, Pierre Duran, Caboclo, Too Good to Let Go, Melody Gardot for Ingdiba, covers of songs by other songwriters. As she is usually considered a jazz singer, Gardot is unusual in her output of original songs so early in her career. Nearly all of the songs on her recordings are original work, although some were co-written with Jesse Harris. She has, however, performed covers of songs by some well-known songwriters: Fever Cooley Blackwell, Peggy Lee, Over the Rainbow Harold Arlen, Yip Harburg, In No Sunshine Bill Withers, Blue Motel Room Joni Mitchell, Edith and the Kingpin Joni Mitchell, La Chanson des Vieux Amants Jacques Brel, Because the Beatles, Get Out of Town Cole Porter, Someday My Prince Will Come Larry Morey and Frank Churchill, Summertime Du Bois Heward and George Gershwin, Love in Rose, A Permil Dith Piaf, Marguerite Mnot and Louis. References. External links: Melody Gardot official website, Melody Gardot at Verve Records website.